Let's begin 24 hours faceless. Welcome to my new video.
In a quiet village where worries weighed heavy on every heart, there lived an old woman whose wisdom had the power to turn fear into hope. People came to her not for wealth or miracles, but for something far more valuable, a way to see light. Even in the darkest times, once in a serene village, there lived an aged woman. She was quite old, her hair shimmering silver, and her face adorned with deep lines of wisdom. Yet her eyes radiated warmth and kindness. Everyone in the village admired her because she always carried a joyful spirit, even in times of hardship. She resided alone in a modest cottage beside a towering banyan tree. Her husband had passed away many years ago, and she had no children to care for her, yet she never voiced a single complaint. Each morning she would sit beneath the banyan tree, greeting every passerby with a gentle smile. The villagers found solace in speaking with her because her words provided reassurance, much like a soft embrace on a chilly evening. The people of the village labored tirelessly to sustain their livelihoods. Some tilled the land as farmers, others expertly crafted furniture as carpenters, while many sold fruits, vegetables, or clothing at the bustling marketplace. Yet, life was often unforgiving. At times, the rains would fail, leaving crops to perish. Other times, illness would spread, making it impossible for people to work. Many villagers carried burdens of worry and sorrow, but the elderly woman's smile never wavered. One day, a young woman named Priya came to visit her. Priya's face was streaked with tears and her voice quivered as she spoke. "I don't know what to do, Grandma," she confided. "My husband traveled to the city in search of work, but he hasn't sent any money. My children are hungry, and I am terrified. What if something bad has happened?" The old woman gazed at Priya with kind eyes and offered a soft smile. "Sit down, my child," she said, patting the ground beside her. "Tell me, what do you believe will happen?" Priya wiped her tears with the corner of her sari and responded, "I don't know, Grandma. It feels like everything is falling apart. What if my husband can't find work? What if he forgets us? What if we have nothing to eat?" The elderly woman listened attentively, then gently shook her head. "Priya, when we let negative thoughts consume our minds, our hearts grow heavy, making our troubles seem insurmountable. But when we embrace hopeful thoughts, our burdens feel lighter, and often good things begin to happen." Priya looked at her skeptically. "But how can I think positively when everything around me is uncertain?" The old woman smiled again. "Let me share a story with you," she began. "Once there was a destitute man who possessed nothing. No food, no money, and no family. One day he sat by a river, weeping in despair. An elderly woman passing by noticed him and stopped. She asked, "Why are you crying, my son?" The man replied, "I have nothing. How can I ever be happy?" The old woman smiled and said, "You have the river, which flows endlessly. You have the trees, which provide shade and fruit. You have the sun, which warms you each day. Look around. You are surrounded by beauty and life. If you only focus on what you lack, you will always feel sorrow. But if you cherish what you do have, you will find peace." The man absorbed her words, ceased his tears, and began noticing the river, the trees, and the bright sun. Gradually, he felt lighter. From that day onward, he worked diligently, and his life began to improve. The old woman turned to Priya and said, "You see, my dear, the man's life didn't change by magic. It changed because he altered the way he thought. When we adopt positive thinking, we gain the strength to confront our struggles. But when we fixate only on our problems, we feel weak and powerless." Priya listened carefully and then asked, "Will my thoughts truly make a difference?" The elderly woman nodded. "Yes, my child. If you wake up each morning and tell yourself, 'Today will be a good day,' you will find the strength to care for your children and face whatever challenges arise. But if you constantly dwell on what might go wrong, you will feel exhausted and unable to act." Priya wiped her tears and nodded slowly. "I understand, Grandma. I will try to focus on positive thoughts from now on." The old woman smiled warmly. "That is the first step, my dear." From that day forward, Priya followed the old woman's advice. Each morning, she reminded herself, "Today will be a good day." She worked hard, cared for her children, and waited for her husband with hope in her heart. A few weeks later, she received a letter from her husband. He had secured a job in the city and was sending money home. Priya's eyes welled up with joyful tears. She ran to the elderly woman's house to share the wonderful news.
The old woman smiled and said, "You see, my dear, when we think positively, we welcome good things into our lives. Difficulties will always come, but if we face them with hope, we can overcome them." Soon, the elderly woman's wisdom spread throughout the village. Many people sought her guidance, and she always offered the same wisdom: think positive thoughts, and good things will follow. The villagers gradually came to understand the truth behind her word, and their lives began to brighten. They cherished and respected her even more for the hope and happiness she brought into their lives. Our thoughts have immense power over our lives. When we focus on the good, we find strength, hope, and solutions to our struggles. Life is not always easy, but with a positive outlook, we can overcome difficulties and welcome happiness into our heart. Always remember, a hopeful heart is a strong heart. This lesson applies to everyone. No matter how dark the situation may seem, a grateful and hopeful heart can create light. By choosing optimism and embracing hope, we open ourselves to new possibilities, find inner peace, and inspire others to do the same.
If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Your support can help inspire many more people.